Yeah, the one that's sitting on the tree button. The button to the left.
Casey, you want to drink approval?
What's that? 10
There's
good.
there's drinks
Green
in
is
that.
live, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Approval list.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
No, this is,
I feel like I started 10 minutes ago work, which has been nuts all day.
Well, you text me at 10:30, almost 11 o'clock, so I know that it was. When you're doing your spare job.
Yep.
So how many out of district kids are there? Because this is the same 4 that I saw this weekend.
that's all that's in there. That's all that is. I thought I was yesterday, but
Boss, we can call a meeting to order.
All right,
I thought I added one yesterday. Maybe I didn't. Been a lot.
call this meeting to order.
I don't think we even have to do.
Till the regular?
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
We pledge it regular.
Sounds good.
This is just a working meeting, so as long as you
I'm
call
gonna
it
give you a
open.
time at 6:01.
All right. So annual goals, we'll start with the 5-year plan, since that'll drive the annual goals. So we'll go through as quickly as possible. Hopefully everybody's had a few months to take a look at this, make any changes that you would like added, deleted, and I'll take record of it. We all have a hard copy in front of us, which may be easier to go through than try to flip through screens. So 5-year plan, every 5 years we set new goals for the next 5 years. This one will be 26 to 2031. It gives an overview. There's parts of this, page 1. This has our strategic framework, our core values, our core purposes, our profile of a graduate, page 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are all things that we basically all the way to page, taking it all the way to page 9. So page 9 are all things that have to be included in our 5-year plan for OPI in terms of requirements. So are there any parts of page 1 through 9 in terms of long-term planning, 20-year horizon, profile of a graduate, college and career readiness, anything you would like? We did add an environmental awareness to college and career readiness for this one. Mr. Marchant, the principals, myself went through this last week, spent a couple hours doing the fine tuning on grammar and anything, thoughts we had. So anything page 1 through 9 you'd like to see added, changed, or deleted. Okay there?
Noted.
Okay. Then we get into our demographics, our business, economic climate, legislation, regulation. I can tell you that the biennium study has some great recommendations. I could forward you that on what came out of that and what's going to go to the legislators. I wanted to preface it tonight before I sent it to you, so you knew what you were looking for. It's from Sam, and it basically just outlines what parts they want to send to the legislative session in 27, the amounts that they're looking to increase, how they're looking to change the funding formula. If it were to all pass, it would look great for our district and many districts across the state. there's a good chance that many of those items will be trimmed, changed, etc., as it goes through the legislative session, and hopefully, hope for the best, and hopefully land somewhere in the middle on the positive side, are my thoughts on that. So I do think it's got great potential to get passed and help out. We've kind of held on, dipping into impact aid for the last 2 years. We'll again be dipping into impact aid this year, and then hopefully, make it to the biennium study, not have to make any cuts until that new funding formula comes out. And at that time, once the funding formula has been adjusted and we're still into impact aid, at that time we'll probably need to take a look at getting back to where we want to be, and that's no salaries and impact aid. So in the meantime, it's going to cost us a little bit to hang on to what we have until we get there, and we do have the money in impact aid to get us through.
What's a little bit, in a nutshell, as far as the percentage on impact?
Probably looking at 330,000 this year in impact aid.
That's about what percentage?
Of
30.
Of the yearly amount, probably 25 to 30%. So that would be allocated above the general fund out of impact aid. So yeah, it depends on multiple things, including the calculation, how many kids we have, etc. So we can kind of go through that next meeting.
Okay. Technology science, obviously constantly looking at that. Mega issues, and then questions that we want to ask ourselves about the mega issues. And then we jump right into our student achievement goals, which are broken out. Are we good all the way to goals? Jumping into goals, student achievement will continue to be our focus over the next 5 years. The report card that came out that actually gave us some real numbers on proficiency from a year ago looked promising. I really felt like we needed, we're in great need of academic increases across the board. But after seeing the report, I think it's within reach, and I think we can achieve and get back to where we were with the state average, and that's our goal. If our students are at the same proficiency levels in math, reading, and science as the state, I feel like we're doing our due diligence. We've been there before. We've closed the achievement gap in the past. We're narrowing that again and digging our way out of the COVID era, and I believe we're on track. So, 2-year plan for student achievement, obviously to increase reading, math, continue to work on our MTSS, PSI, BOQ, graduation rates. We reset some of those numbers in our goal setting meeting we had last week to hopefully be more of a SMART goal in terms of attainable and relevant. So we've put measurable outcomes into all of our annual goals and our 5-year plan. So anything in achievement you'd like to see added, deleted, changed? Leadership, goal area 2, intended outcome, goals for our leadership team, goals for all teachers as leaders in the classroom, professional standards will continue to be a priority. Obviously, the biggest change agents, are obviously principals, with the teamwork of teachers and a team working together. They can definitely accomplish anything if everybody's on the same bus, moving in the same direction. I'm confident our leadership team will continue to do an outstanding job. Facilities, We've had a lot of facility work done. In the future, there's some goals, not near as many as we had 5 years ago. In the last 5 years, we've accomplished a great deal. So we'll continue to look for opportunities with grants, partnerships from external entities, individuals. The middle school playground is a perfect example. I mean, those guys have been on it all summer with employees, Michelle and Adam Wood. You can't thank those folks enough for the work they've done. I mean, they've had 2 or 3 workers out there for the last month or more working every day to get that done. So big thanks to them. Middle school roof will get done. We still need to continue to look at cabinets in the elementary. We need to get AC in the old gym at some point. It was 40,000 to add that. Now we're probably looking at 50 to 60,000 to add air conditioning to the old gym. The air exchange is in there, but we would like to add AC. I know a long-term plan was an auditorium at some point. I'd like to look at possibility of auditorium seating in the all-purpose room, which is the intent of that space. If there could be fold-out seating, tall fold-out seating in there.
In here?
In the all-purpose room, which is basically was started out as the idea of having an auditorium, but soon became a lunchroom, to be honest. I mean, you can use it for small things, but as far as for plays and things that space was intended for, it really didn't meet the target. So I don't mind saying that because, at that time many of us were for adding a gym in that space, and we didn't get that. We got an auditorium, which is great, but it's really not an effective auditorium. So, obviously, some of the other teacher housing, we'd love to have teacher housing. We'd love to have a daycare, new track, elementary cabinets, maintenance equipment, classroom technology. Middle school playground is getting done, and math and bathroom improvements were all things that came up in surveys from kids in terms of space and needs So I think we've come a long ways. There's still some big things. I mean, teacher housing would be great. A daycare would be great. Improving our track would be great. But we've done a lot of great things. There's still going to be things on the horizon that will need to be tackled, and we'll keep looking at grants and partnerships that'll help us get that done. So, looking at what can be done, for example, with the middle school playground is very promising with the community that we have. So, I want to thank everybody involved there. Community and communications will continue to have a positive web presence. We'll continue to support extracurricular, co-curricular activities. We want to improve our after-school programs in the elementary to support academic and sports activities. I hope that grows in the future. More youth sports. I think we're covered. I mean, we have an abundance of high school athletics. We have an abundance of middle school athletics. I'd like to see improvements in after-school commitment to our elementary students for both academics and athletics in after-school programs. And I think we could start with a goal of adding possibly 2 after-school activities this year for either athletics or academics as a goal for this year. But continue to improve there. Community, continue our partnership with, hopefully get an IEC started. Student-centered, positive climate and culture. All of those look great. Our BOQ has improved every year for our MTSS goals. Our PSI has been evaluated by an outside evaluator last year at the gold level. So I'm optimistic that we can continue to grow our PSI. Our BOQ has jumped considerably over the last 2 years, and looking to reach platinum in our PSI evaluation in all 3 schools over the next 2 years. And I do believe positive climate and culture has probably been one of our strongest platforms over the years. Looking back on MBI, the pinnacles that we reached there were outstanding. So working our way back through that, resource accountability, we'll keep looking for funding wherever possible, continue to look for grants, which we're always on the lookout for. There just hasn't been a lot of grants, not a lot of free money since ESSER, and it's tough when you have an abundance of money, then have to go backwards to having less and doing what you have been doing. You know, we don't have as many title teachers, for example, but for the most part, compared to most schools, we've been able to hang on to our staff, where a lot of schools like Missoula, you know, Arley, some of those other districts that have had to make drastic cuts to their personnel, we have not had to do that. So I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I need to warn the board, you know, in 2 years when the study is done, there may be a time and a need for us to reevaluate. But I'm also optimistic that the funding formula will support that, and we'll be able to keep exactly what we have or possibly add more. So I'm feeling positive about it. The last page was just student input ideas. I'm going to share that with teachers. There's some classics in there that that'll never go away. I'll take these with me for as long as I live, and when I'm on my deathbed, I'm still going to be cracking up about some of these that you know, some of the input from some of the kids that we'll be sharing this with all the teachers and staff on the first day, or on Friday when we have our district data day. There's some gems in there. So if you haven't had a chance to read through that, please do. So any questions or additions or changes you'd like for 5-year plan?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. When you talk about the biennium study, are you talking about the school finance intercommission?
Yeah.
Or is that, okay. Because did I not read that camps had a little bit of a falling out with them? Like they were maybe a week or 2 ago. Things like that.
I have not heard that.
They met yesterday.
They did.
Yes, they met again yesterday. The proposal was going through, I think that basically the synopsis was, it's a big ask. So there's probably going to be some sticking points, but they're back at the table again. They're going to probably have to come up with a few legislators that are going to support it and kind of push it through. So I think that's where the current update's at.
Cool.
And I will send you that link. I didn't want to send the link without first kind of giving it'll come from Sam, and it'll have a link. I think MTSBA also has a link to all of the recommendations. So there's a couple different sources that I can send to all of you, but I wanted to preface it before I send it to you. And I mean, there's pages and pages of information in those things. So I'll try to just grab the link and you can take a look at it.
It looked like they had meetings on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of this week.
Yeah.
I tried to keep up with a little bit, but I see Masbo had some comment. Who's the head of?
Yeah, I can tell you what she looks like.
Yeah,
I can't remember her
okay.
name right off the top of my head.
But anyways, you were rather lengthy.
They
From a business manager's
They
standpoint.
were gathering information from business managers to present to
Right.
camps and everybody regarding this. And I'll probably share some of that in the next meeting, but basically some of the legislation works exactly like we thought it would work, which was it's a little too much. You know, it does a little too much, and we can see that in the general fund and in tuition when we present at the next meeting. But yeah, I think maybe getting a little insight from Masbo and the clerks or the business managers in general should help some of the execution of that play out a little better. So
My sense was this was the last public comment.
Yeah.
This is the call for, last one. So they're trying to narrow it down and get that set to present to the next legislative session. Okay, there's no, we'll actually approve this. It'll be a recommended action item in our regular meeting. We could jump right into strategic annual goals. And so strategic annual goals are basically the 5-year plan. Those goals are brought forward into what are we going to dig into this year, throughout the year. What are our SMART goals? Must be strategic, must be measurable, they must be attainable, they must be relevant, and they must be time-based. So to be a SMART goal, that's what we set out to basically do a better job of compared to last year, instead of just, bullets under each. We were able to apply SMART goals to each goal with a number and at least a target for us to shoot at. Obviously, we want to increase math achievement, ACT scores. Last year, we jumped 2 points on the ACT, which was great. College and career readiness, increase that with more of the K-12 career readiness and college readiness, preparing students for the next 5 years of their lives. Co-curricular, increased participation, cell phone use. I'm just looking to visit with teachers on Friday about the importance of consistency. Having the universal expectations for language, academic, fundamental 5, cell phone use, those things that we expect every teacher, every student to adhere to. Increase 3rd grade reading, or increase by the 3rd grade the proficiency. Increase MTS, PSI, BOQ, graduation rates, parent communication, advance as many opportunities as we possibly can. It's hard in a small school sometimes to offer everything we wish we could offer, but taking advantage of as many of those opportunities as we possibly can. Leadership, board reporting, transparency, shared leadership, Title I expansion and exploration, mentorship program. We're starting a mentorship program this year already. That's in place. Those have been approved with stipends for teachers to mentor new teachers. 1st and 2nd year teachers will have a mentor this year, paid for through a grant, which would be great. So student, graduate feedback, continue with our surveys, parent communication, make sure parents, have accessibility and opportunity to help with their children's education. We talked with principals about getting information from teachers to parents, asking them to work on whatever they're working on that month or in the next 2 weeks or in that unit. How can parents help us at home, reach our academic goals, create partnerships and get parents involved with learning at home. At the same time, working with our teachers supporting parents, helping them help their children. Professional consistency, instructional, expectations, the fundamental 5, doing the walkthroughs, doing the things that we need to do. Positive recognition, things that we do, we want to improve upon. I think we do a great job with our culture in our school. But is there anything within Objective 1, leadership, or academic achievement?
I don't like 90% of staff maintain updated communication channels.
Which page number we at?
5.
4 or 5?
90% of staff maintain updated communication channels, emails, classroom platform with parent response times within 2 business days, as measured through administrative monitoring and parent feedback survey.
I think it's
So
We have page
parent
4. You
response
guys tell me where we're
times.
at.
No, I'm
So
looking
that's
at
teacher parent response times or
parent communication, 90% of staff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 90. Okay.
So, but my first point is, why 90? Why not 100? Every teacher should have their. That's not hard to have our emails and line of communication.
100% of staff?
Yeah.
Okay. That good?
I have a question on the parent communication, which is in several of these goals. But when we talk about streamlining and improving, are we using, or is there a reason that we use several apps for that, the communication from the school to the parents, like GroupMe, Infinite Campus, Class Dojo?
What page are we on?
Well, it's in goal 2, goal 4, goal 8. There's parent communication in all of those that overlap slightly.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about kind of just improving those overall communication systems, but I was wondering just why, if there's a need for several apps, or if we can.
The elementary, and I believe that this year elementary is going to use Dojo, and middle school, high school is going to as well. I think when we wrote these, were we doing 2 different apps, or are we all on Dojo now?
We're all on Dojo.
Okay, so when we first started writing these, there were 2 separate, but I think we've narrowed it to Dojo. Correct?
We still have
The sports one started the GroupMe chats.
And the sports is GroupMe.
we still have the district too,
The what?
the thrill share.
Rooms.
Oh, Thrill Share Rooms.
Rooms is gone.
Yeah, Rooms is out. But we still have Thrill
We're
Share
still
for
communicating
our
with
web
Thrill
presence. Yeah.
You with us here?
I'm on
Yeah, I might be able to be somewhat helpful there.
Okay.
So, in the past, there have been a lot of different communication platforms that we use. Rooms is one of them. That's a product of Thrillshare. Aptigee, the company that runs our website. That was not an enormous success, so we're getting rid of that one in favor of Class Dojo. Now, that will serve the purpose of school-to-home communication directly. That will allow teachers, administrators to talk directly with parents inside a monitorable ecosystem, which is the thing that we've been missing generally. So if the important thing there being is that it's monitorable, right? So if there is any untoward conduct or anything like that, that's something that the district can have eyes on and have a monitor on. That's the reason that we've tried to move away from single instance things like have happened in sports, like coaches directly texting kids. Obviously, the board policy explicitly says we can't do that, so there's reasons we need to do that. What Dojo now doesn't explicitly offer, it does, but we've already got a system inside Infinite Campus that allows us to directly text and robocall everybody. That's sort of a legacy system that's worked fine for us, and we already have it, so we didn't see any reason to replace it with another product that costs some money. Are there other ones on there that were?
No, and there wasn't even a list. I just
Okay.
have noticed several different platforms
Yeah.
out there, and I assume that causes a little bit of confusion,
Totally.
so I
Yep. A
was
big,
hoping we would be looking at
Yep.
making that list smaller eventually.
and that is part of the reason moving to Dojo allows us to combine some of the functions of a couple other things, particularly on the coaching side. I know especially Sarge has been really keen on finding something that, on everything under one roof. He's been really trying, and Rooms was an attempt at that. It just didn't work very well, didn't get a lot of buy-in. So Dojo was our next attempt at trying to make that work. Dojo also gives us, from a fiscal perspective, after the first year, there's no cost. So there's no renewing cost, there's no upkeep cost, there's no maintenance costs on that. Significant improvement over Rooms in that regard. So as of, and again, Dojo also has the capability to do the robocalling, the attendance calling, that sort of thing. So if we get into Dojo and it works and it allows us to reduce all that stuff, it might be worth transitioning that functionality from Infinite Campus to Dojo as well. So yes, we're, at least on the tech side and the admin side, we're with you on trying to reduce that as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay. So we were on, so facilities, classroom needs, we touched on that. You know, I mean, really no change to what we want to change for facilities, classroom needs, technology. Will still be a big push here. We ordered 25 more Chromebooks. I think we're going one to one in the middle school this year. Students, stewardship, school pride. You know, and again, just trying to find opportunities to develop facilities. Anything in facilities, we okay there for annual goals? Okay, Area 4, community communications, kind of what we were just talking about again, you know, getting community involved, trying to find, you know, a communication system, platform for social media, ensuring that we have buy-in from parents, teachers, trying to narrow that so we're not on 17 different apps all trying to do the same thing. We've really pushed hard to try to get everybody under one roof. That's been a goal. It's just, it falls apart because it doesn't work for a coach or a teacher, and then they go right back to, you know, Facebook or, you know, group messages, etc. So if we can get all sports under one app and all school and communication under Dojo, we'll all be much happier. Community relations, after school, elementary programming, community events, social engagement, collaboration with IEC. We still don't have an IEC. I'd really like to see that back in place this year so we can have those collaboration meetings with an IEC. We haven't had an IEC for a couple of years, and it'd be nice to get that back. We'll do anything we can to help support that. Obviously, we can't organize it or run it, but if there's folks out there, hopefully we'll lean on tribal ed to get that going again. Adult ed, we'll continue to do that. Expand parent communication beyond social media. Get parents helping us with as much collaboration as possible. Student-led media, we've talked about that one a little bit, trying to get students to run more of a grassroots from the students, news, content, video would be great. You know, a student podcast would be awesome. You know, just different ideas to expand there. So, community and communications, anything there? Student-centered, positive climate and culture. I think, again, this is an area that we do a great job, but always looking for ways to improve. I do believe we're the standard that most schools strive for. I do believe, and it's been proven, we were the very best in the state of Montana for years in this goal area. We were the only district to hit MBI Platinum in all 3 schools for 3 years. No other district in the state of Montana did that. So I do think we're the standard. We want to continue to be the standard, and we're striving to make this a safe and welcoming place for everybody. Sense of belonging, importance, anything you'd like to see added to student-centered, positive climate and culture. Oh, I forgot to add too, the elementary did get under facilities, and we're going, we did add wood chips to the entire elementary playground, so that's safe again.
What about the
The big
the
slide.
random, the random little.
The Wheel of
bolts they
Death is
found,
gone.
The random nuts they found loose. Remember that report?
I'm sure Jeff's got those. Yeah. Wood chips are here. I think they came from what, Helena?
Yeah, Townsend, I think.
Townsend?
Yeah, so that just
All right. Students, like I said, I do believe we do a great job there. So resource accountability, we'll keep looking for grants, keep looking for ways to improve facilities. Financial trends, we're on pace. I think we're, in terms of financially, we're as sound as any district in the state of Montana. System of success. I mean, I think that the rest of this is mainly for just systems that we use. We'll use this Friday to orient new staff about what we're about. Systems that we use in all areas of academics, Indian Ed for All. I think we're also a standard. We're probably one of the only districts in the state that evaluates teachers on Indian Ed for All. It's a state requirement, but I believe I haven't heard of another district that actually evaluates teachers on Indian Ed for All. And I know that both principals hold teachers accountable. It's the one area that's consistently in need of ways to do better. So I like that we do that. I like that we have that. I think it was actually Tony's dad and myself that sat down years ago and wrote that. The handbook has been recopied many times. It's probably ready for a new Inkashola to write a new one. But we can get. I've asked the tribe also to, it'd be nice to have a reservation-wide handbook for all teachers that they could share with staff to help support them in implementation of the culture in which they teach. So we'll have tribal PIR again. I heard today we're going to Polson, right? So that's a day as well. We'll have everybody there. PSI goals, that's kind of our playbook for our district in terms of what we're about. Academic behavior, attendance supports. I know Mr. Hendrickson wrote and developed a tiered system for those. We used to actually Milepost years ago actually stole those ideas, and we created the high school implementation plan for those tiered platforms that we use for at-risk students, and how one teacher can be responsible for 3 students and not have to be responsible for the 100 that they see day in, day out, and get all of our at-risk students with at least a mentor and someone checking in on them, whether it be academic behavior or attendance. Sense of belonging, BOQ, those are all on pace. Academic, behavioral, attendance supports, many systems in place to support that. Universal expectations for teachers, Fundamental 5. Every classroom should be implementing those 5 standards universally. After school tutoring, CTE. Again, we added environmental awareness to that one. Positive future for all students. K-12, career readiness. Adding elementary, Miss Moore did a great job of adding a monthly goal for each grade to work on career readiness and exposure to career ideas for students and pathways for them from elementary into middle school, where they do a lot of career research, and then through high school, through their pathways that they take for their 5-year plan, and ultimately they write what their 5-year plan will be, how they intend to get there, what classes they need to participate in, what college they will need to attend, what internship, whether it be, you know, working in the trades or in college, those are readily available. And then just again, a breakdown in more of a organized fashion of our district, leadership philosophy, and our career and technical CTE plan. Anything you would like to see added to the annual district goals or changed?
Back on page 8, I'm sorry I didn't catch this at the time, but under resource accountability and certainty, item 1, is this, maybe Adam, is this something different, or have we been doing this? So we've sort of been doing this informally, sort of prioritizing facility needs. Are you planning to look at that more closely, or is this sort of what we've been doing?
The facilities funding analysis.
So the main one, I think that they're trying to build that back into part of the legislation. If you recall, when we do our March prelim budget, and at the bottom, you've asked this question before, it cites the 2009 analysis or the assessment. Basically, the state went out and said, yeah, everything's broken. You need to, any grant money that we provide needs to go to this. That was in 2009. They were funding, what was the grant called? But we got one of them, and then we didn't get the second one. And then they funneled all that money into the permissive levy for the building reserve. So that money is designed to try to chip away at that. I'm not sure if there's going to be another analysis at a state level. We haven't done one financially on our level because it seems like we're still, well, number one, we took out a pretty sizable loan to chip away at that when we took out the intercap loan with the bond. So a lot of that stuff was taken care of at that time. And then we have long-term debt in both the intercap loan and the bond. So as far as financial assessment goes, kind of have two heavy hitters on the books already. So the continued
The comprehensive facility funding analysis that was done back then, we used for that grant. And does anybody remember the name of the grant?
there you go.
Quality School.
Schools.
We were number, I actually went to the state legislators, met with them. We were number 1 on the list to be funded for that grant. And so we were in, but the grant was cut.
So
And we didn't get it, so then we applied that next year for the intercap for about the same money. So
I'm now seeing your question, Mr. Marchant. You're asking, when are you and I and the Building and Grounds Committee going to get together and do a funding analysis of this? And the answer is I did not know that that was a request. So we can.
Okay. And all I was wondering is, when can I quit asking for new stuff?
Yeah, we definitely can sit down and look at all that stuff. I guess my overall synopsis of it is like we have 2 large debt
we're kind of at the whim of,
piles that need to be taken care of.
right now we're talking about $0. I mean, there's some money available, like we're going to be able to help if we're short on the middle school playground. That's money that we will put forward to make sure they're whole on that. But in terms of, I believe that is if we were to get grant money, if they were to open up any available grant money, we applied 2 years prior to that to the impact aid. I wrote a ginormous grant. It took weeks, months, I don't know, it took a long time to write the impact aid grant. And I spent a ton of time to find out
We were disqualified before we submitted it because we weren't above 50% of our.
I hadn't read
50% of our property needed to be impacted, and we were at 46.
I hadn't read the fine print on the first page that of the grant that said to qualify, you must have 50%. I wrote the entire grant, and they called me and said, well, you must have not read the first page where you're 2% short of, and I about cried. Well, I cried for a while. I mean, it was a couple days, but
But still have it in like the 2016 file.
Yeah.
When we did it.
so if money comes available, then we will definitely have to reevaluate. But right now, we're kind of at a standstill in terms of what's, until more money, we can't go to the taxpayers, we can't get any more loans, we are where we are.
I don't think this SMART goal is necessarily identifying or referring to grants. It's saying our annual reserves. And I think we've had that in the past when you guys come in and say, hey, we need this from the facilities committee. And say, hey, we need this,
Yeah.
this, and this done. We're going to prioritize these top 3 to do them this year, and we'll try to do next year.
And I think
that's what that SMART goal is referring to. Is
I believe that you're talking about our priority list, right?
Yeah.
That we do kind of at the end of the summer. And when an emergency happens, say the middle school roof
Deferred
comes in, then
maintenance list.
it's a deferred maintenance list that then takes priority over what happens next. So right now, it's the middle school roof. And then you look at in your pockets and you say, we don't have a lot for.
And if you want to not miscommunicate that, I think maybe just your facilities
Yeah.
analysis would just be updating your priorities.
Strike the funding analysis.
And my SMART goal will be to meet with the building and grounds team and go over
And
that.
we will do this again this year. We'll prioritize a list of things that are needed as we go through the year and run into next summer.
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
Good question. Anything else?
I think both the documents look pretty good. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with admin. It was really, I know it was a long hour and a half or two, but I thought it was really valuable to get a chance to at least discuss it. And I also really appreciate we'll just go to the 5-year plan because it was quick on page. It was quick. Where you added the environmental lens. And, so that was partly a concern of mine. Why can't I find that here?
Page 7.
So there was probably a concern of mine, but also, page 7 towards the top. But also it was reflected in some of the community stuff. And, I think we did a nice job here. I don't know if it appears in other 5-year plans. And I think it serves two purposes. It's a statement of our awareness of our impact, and I think a positive part of our brand. Getting that out there that we are aware of it and are addressing. So anyway, I just wanted to say those two things. Getting a chance to talk it over and to include that sort of conservation stewardship language are really good things.
You gave me the opportunity to write some really big words, which I was really impressed with, and really, I'm not even sure. You might want to check to make sure the meaning of every one of those.
It looked good. I thought it looked good. I thought it was a real, like I say, a real, at least a good foot in the door. We are the biggest employer, the most square footage, the most activities and events in the community, and we also have a big impact, big footprint. And so, we recognize that and can, what our constituents know that that's important to us. That's really good. Anyway, that's all I have.
Anybody else good?
The only thing I was thinking of when we were going over that was incorporating within the 5-year goal, even though it's hard to even think of right now since we've lost our Salish teacher, but incorporating, and I can't remember, I didn't say it because I can't remember what it was called, but incorporating Salish as a certified, I don't even know what do you call it, the OPI that where you go and you get world language and get it certified and taught.
Yeah.
I know most students utilize Spanish. I think Crow has broken that avenue and they got their language certified through OPI. And so it'd be nice to get Salish. And it's hard to think of right now because we don't have a Salish teacher. But I think we definitely have a department, SQCC, and Language Apprentices program and CUSUM program that could aid in getting that language certified so our students that take it can walk with, was it honors degree? Yeah.
It does count towards the world language. The only part that bothered me is every time I try to list it as a opening, that I can only list it as world language, and Spanish is in there. You know, there's other languages in there to be specific about what world language we're looking for. OPI would be the ask to add Salish as a breakout, just like the other languages, French, you know. So having that, and that's more of an OPI.
And I think there's some standards to meet in order for that to be listed. If I remember talking to Miss,
She had the certification for the,
Yeah, right now we need a Spanish or a Salish teacher, so
trying to work on that for you. So.
still open. But yeah, and I can continue to work on OPI. So
They may be Frankenstein together, but there may be part-time with some additional help from the language apprentice.
sounds good.
Do you know, Tony, are there persons or a person who are leaning on OPI to do that?
I don't. I remember it was a conversation a year and a half ago before she went on sabbatical.
Conversation with
Michelle.
Shelman.
Michelle.
Yeah, but she went on
I
sabbatical.
remember it was at a board meeting and it was,
But nobody in tribal ed is pursuing that.
Nobody in tribal ed's pursuing it, as I can think of. And I don't think the CUSUM or Language Apprentice program is aware of it. I brought it up to them a couple weeks ago, so they're interested in looking at it and aiding if there's any aid they could provide in order for that to happen. So our students here could walk with that honor.
So what do you see as the next step to getting that done?
Find more from Ms. Shumlin of what qualifications and certifications.
Can you just call OPI and do it? Or-
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I got his name, but I think she was on the track of it at least a year ago.
Okay,
Peter's out, who's
we're
our?
gonna move to close this meeting. If you have any more input, just call me. You know, for small changes, that don't affect, you know, the big things, but we'll look at this again during the regular meeting.
Okay, any other comments, suggestions? If not, we'll call this good until,
As soon as we wanna call the next one going, because we were ready at 6:30, so we'll try to fly through this next one.
Close?